Now let's look at another new feature in TruCredential software version 7.6. This new feature will help customers who use the Enterprise Edition and want a way to restrict access based on specific fields in their workflows. Does your organization span several sites? Have you found that searches from one site retrieve records from all sites? But what you really want is to limit the results to a specific site, or perhaps you want to restrict access by department or role. With field-based access in TruCredential version 7.6, users of TruCredential Enterprise Edition can streamline enrollment and searching by restricting access to only the data that is relevant to a particular user. Consider this example. Say you run the credentialing program for a school district. The district has many schools that access the system through a single integration. These schools include Bamber Woods, Pinewood Trail, and Ten Oaks Middle Schools. When the operator for Bamber Woods runs a search for the last name Johnson, the result contains a large number of records because they are all from all of the schools in the district, not just from Bamber Woods. In addition to being unwieldy, allowing all operators access to all of the records could pose a security risk for the district. Additionally, the district issues credentials for a variety of titles, such as teachers, staff, and coaches. It wants the ability to restrict access by title. Using field-based access, the school district could restrict access by school so that the operator at Bamber Woods would retrieve search results only from Bamber Woods. Plus, the workflow could be limited to enrolling applicants only in Bamber Woods. The district could also use field-based access to restrict access by title, so that some of the operators could issue credentials only to coaches. This could streamline the operators' jobs at every school and enhance security by reducing the number of people who could access and modify enrollment records. Let's look at how to set up field-based access within a workflow and then limit access to certain records based on these attributes. Before you start, identify one or more fields in your workflow that you want to use as the access attribute. For example, with our school district scenario, the school name and title fields will be the attributes that we'll use to restrict access to records. Next, create or update a workflow to assign the fields as an access attribute. Then, go to Field Connections to make sure the database is defined and fields are connected. You also need to define groups that you assign to users so that you can give operators permission to view and search records with specific attributes. In our example, we'll create a group for each school and then grant users permission to search and enroll applicants in only their schools. We'll also create a group for each school that can issue only coach credentials. First, we create the access attribute. Choose Settings from the Settings menu and then click the new Access Attributes tab. Click Create and then type a name for the attribute. For this example, we want to show how to add access attributes both manually and by importing from a lookup table. So we are creating two access attributes. We name the first attribute Title. We leave the input method as manual, and then we click Add and type Teacher as the attribute value. Notice that TruCredential adds Teacher in the Display As text box as we type. The attribute value is the value that is stored in the database. The Display As value is shown on the workflow page. You can type a different value in the Display As text box if you wish. We leave it as is. We click Add again to add another value. We continue to click Add until we have typed all of the values we need, and then click Save. We click Create again to create a second access attribute and name it School Name. This time, we select Input from Lookup Table as the input method because we want to use the values from a database table. Notice that the display changes so that we can select the table. Our data source is the default H2 database. The schema is public. The lookup table is School Lookup. We want to store the school ID number in the database, but we want to show the school name on the workflow page. So we select School ID as the stored attribute and School Name as the displayed attribute. You can see that the Attribute Value column shows the school's ID number and the Display As column shows the school's name. When you use this method, you cannot add more values manually. You only can use the values that exist in the lookup table. Now that we have created our access attributes, we can assign them to specific fields in our School Employee ID workflow. We click the School Name field and then expand the Advanced tab in Field Properties. This tab now includes a checkbox for Assign as Access Attribute. This option is separate from inserting list values. You cannot enter list values here to assign as an access attribute. You need to set up access attributes as we showed you in the previous step. Notice that when we select the checkbox, the properties change to display an Access Attributes menu and a Display Values list. We select school name and the school names appear in the Display Values list. Similarly, we click the Title field and then select the checkbox for Assign as Access Attribute in the Advanced tab. We select Title as the access attribute. We click Save to save these changes to the workflow. Let's check the field connections for this workflow. All of the fields and table are properly connected. Notice the green padlock on the title and school name fields. This padlock indicates that these fields are access attributes. We return to the home page and click Enroll for our School Employee ID credential. The drop-down lists for school name and title display the options from our access attributes. Now we can use our new configurations to limit an operator's view into the database. In our scenario, we want an operator to be able to view or search only the records for their particular school, not all schools. We choose Users and Groups from the Settings menu and then click the Groups tab. We click Create and enter a group name and description. We're using the school names for our group names, so we type Bamber Woods Middle School for our first group and enter the description All School Enrollment Records. Next, we select the permissions for this group of operators. We click the checkboxes in Applicant Enrollment and Printers. Then we select the School Employee ID workflow from the Workflow Execution list and click Add. Then we select the Access Attributes. This list includes all of the access attributes we have created, so we scroll down until we reach the Title attribute. We select all of the titles and then click Add. Then we scroll down to the School Name access attribute. In this case, we select Bamber Woods Middle School and then click Add. We click Save to save the Bamber Woods group. We then create a group for Bamber Woods Middle School, Coach Only. The permissions and attributes are the same, except in this case, we select only Coach from the Title attribute. We repeat this process for each of the schools. After we create all of our groups, we can assign a particular group to any user in our school district. We click the Users tab and either create or edit a user's profile. In this example, we edit B. Woods' profile. We select the Bamber Woods Middle School Coach Only group and click Save. To demonstrate the difference between a user who has a group specified and one who doesn't, we return to the home page and click Enroll for the School Employee ID credential. Notice how all of the schools and all of the titles are options. Now we return to the home page and click Search. We search the last name Johnson. Notice how the result includes records from all three of the schools in our example. Now we sign in as B. Woods and click Enroll for the credential. Notice how Bamber Woods is the only school name option and Coach is the only title option. We return to the home page and click Search. We search the same last name of Johnson and retrieve only the record for a Bamber Woods coach. In our example, we used only a few schools and a few records. If you issue credentials across multiple sites using a single integration, the ability to limit access to records with specific attributes can have a significant impact on simplifying and securing the process of enrolling and searching records in your system.